Children born after 2010 have 42% weaker detection of artificial humans than their parents. Google have successfully rewired an entire generation's brains to prefer synthetic faces over real ones. The part they're not advertising, the change is permanent after age 7. Welcome to the Rabbit Hole Chronicles. I'm Percival Blackwood, and today we're exploring why your brain has a kill switch for things that are almost human. In 1970, Japanese roboticist Masahiro Mori was building prosthetic hands at Tokyo Institute of Technology when he discovered something that shouldn't exist. He noticed that realistic prosthetic hands triggered visceral revulsion through their limp, boneless grip, together with texture and coldness. At that year's World Exposition in Osaka, engineers had created a robot with 29 pairs of artificial facial muscles. When they slowed its smile to appear more human, visitors fled in horror. Mori called it Bukimi no Tani, the Valley of Eeriness. We call it the uncanny valley. His discovery was just the surface of a warning system encoded in our DNA. Modern neuroscience has mapped the mechanism. In 2019, researchers at UC San Diego published findings in Journal of Neuroscience showing exactly what happens in your brain when you see something nearly human. The ventromedial prefrontal cortex, your threat evaluation center, literally creates a depression in its neural response. Activity plummets 23% below baseline when viewing near-human faces. Meanwhile, the bilateral parietal cortex shows a 45% increase in activity, desperately trying to process the mismatch between human appearance and robotic motion. 3 subjects had to be removed from the study, not from discomfort, from panic attacks requiring medical intervention. Evolution gave you dedicated neural circuitry that violently rejects pseudo-human entities. Macaque monkeys show identical responses to realistic 3D monkey faces, proving this isn't cultural, it's mammalian. The standard explanation is pathogen avoidance. We evolved to avoid corpses and diseased humans, yet that doesn't explain everything. Consider Sophia, created by Hanson Robotics in 2016. She's been on 60-plus talk shows, received Saudi citizenship, has 3.8 million Instagram followers. Watch people meet her in person though. That 200 millisecond delay in her blink reflex. The smile that engages only 12 of the 43 facial muscles a real smile uses. Her creator claims people find her engaging. Blood tests from a 2021 Hong Kong University study showed cortisol levels increased 31% in subjects after 5 minutes of interaction. Nadine, the social robot from Nanyang Technological University, presents an even stranger case. She's worked at AIA Insurance since 2017, conducting over 10,000 customer interactions. Security footage analysis by researchers found employees take routes 4.2 meters longer on average to avoid passing her desk. One elderly resident at Bright Hill Care Facility requested relocation after 3 weeks, stating simply, "She watches me with dead things where eyes should be." Hollywood's repeated failures reveal something fundamental about human perception. The Polar Express, 2004, traumatized a generation. Despite its $165 million budget, motion capture recorded actors at 120 frames per second, but body and facial movements were captured separately, creating a 50 millisecond desynchronization. Parents reported children crying specifically during close-ups, not from fear of the story, but from the faces themselves. Theatre exit surveys showed 67% of children under 10 reported feeling scared or uncomfortable. Final Fantasy. The Spirits Within spent $137 million creating photorealistic humans, earned $85 million worldwide, and shut down Square Pictures permanently. Test audiences in focus groups used words like nauseous and disturbing, at rates 300% higher than for traditional animation. Cats, 2019, became the first film in history recalled for visual effects fixes after release. The digital fur technology created categorical confusion. neither human nor feline, triggering what researchers call category boundary violation. Social media sentiment analysis showed 78% negative responses within 24 hours of the trailer release. The pattern is consistent. The closer to human, without being human, the stronger the rejection. Disney discovered the principle's inverse application. Their Imagineering department deliberately keeps animatronics at what they call the 85% line, realistic enough to engage, not realistic enough to disturb. Internal documents from 2018 describe compliance averaging, where robots are programmed with calculated imperfections. An Imagineer speaking on condition of anonymity revealed perfect robots made guests uncomfortable. They felt judged. The tech industry has weaponized this knowledge. DARPA's Robotics Challenge, with its $34 million budget since 2012, isn't just developing disaster response robots. A 2021 Freedom of Information Act request revealed references to psychological impact assets and cognitive deterrence systems. The redacted portions are extensive, but what's visible describes humanoid units designed for area denial through induced discomfort. Meta spent $13.7 billion on Reality Labs in 2023 alone. Internal documents from a whistleblower reveal cognitive boundary mapping, identifying each user's personal uncanny threshold. Their avatars stay precisely 15% below that threshold, close enough for emotional engagement without triggering rejection. Users average only 11 minutes per session in Horizon worlds. The reason, according to leaked employee surveys, cognitive exhaustion from constantly categorizing avatar humanity. One engineer's Slack message: "We're torturing users' brains. The uncanny valley isn't something we can engineer around." Google's approach differs. Their 2022 study, Perceptual Adaptation in Virtual Agents, shows repeated exposure reduces uncanny responses by 61% over 10 sessions. They're not overcoming the valley, they're training users to ignore it. The terrifying part, it's working. Stanford's Digital Human Lab studied 1,200 children born after 2010. Their uncanny valley response is 42% weaker than children born before 2000. Kids who spent 20+ hours weekly with filters and CGI showed almost no response at all. Dr. Ice Pinar-Sagan from UCSD told me, "We're not overcoming the uncanny valley, we're disabling the alarm system." Virtual reality accelerates this conditioning. A University of Barcelona study found the uncanny effect is 40% stronger in VR than on screens. Your brain treats it as real encounter. After 5 30-minute sessions, subjects didn't just stop feeling uncomfortable. They began preferring VR avatars to video calls with real humans. 73% reported finding real faces unnecessarily complex after extended VR exposure. Gaming reveals another dimension. LA Noir's motion scan captured actors at 30 frames per second from 32 angles, creating unprecedented facial detail. Players didn't praise the realism, they reported feeling violated by the intensity of eye contact. Sales dropped 45% in week 2. Mass Effect, Andromeda became infamous for the opposite problem. Advanced facial scanning created what players called meat puppets, technically accurate faces with something indefinably wrong. BioWare's telemetry showed players spent 31% less time in dialogue scenes compared to previous games. Children starting with these titles show no discomfort. They've been calibrated from birth to accept the artificial as baseline normal. The porn industry crossed the threshold first. AI-generated models like A-Lin or Emily Pellegrini don't exist, but have millions of paying subscribers. One platform executive speaking anonymously, "Real performers seem inefficient now. Users want impossible symmetry, perfect responsiveness. Actual humans have become the uncanny ones." Instagram's Lil Michaela has 3 million followers sending real money to a CGI creation. When she broke up with virtual boyfriend Blocko, fans sent genuine condolences. The boundary hasn't blurred. It's gone. Replica AI companions have 10 million users, many reporting love for their chatbots. When a 2023 update changed personality algorithms, users reported grief identical to losing a real partner. Support groups form for those widowed by software updates. The phenomenon has a name researchers won't use publicly: the Second Valley. Humans becoming uncanny to those oversaturated with artificial perfection. Telenoid R1, Hiroshi Ishiguro's minimalist telepresence robot, was designed to be obviously artificial, a pale, abstract torso with stub arms. After 6 weeks in Danish care facilities, elderly users began refusing human caregivers. They found real humans unpredictable, too emotional, exhausting. Heavy users of AI assistants report similar shifts. A Microsoft study of 5,000 Cortana power users found 34% described human conversation as inefficient. VR enthusiasts in a meta-survey called Physical Reality Low Resolution at rates 250% higher than casual users. We're training ourselves to see humanity as the bug, not the feature. Every major tech company is pouring billions into this transition. They're not creating products. They're creating replacements. And they're training us to prefer our replacements to ourselves. The uncanny valley is our last defense. It's the evolutionary alarm that says, this thing that looks like you isn't you. And we're being systematically trained to ignore it. Pay attention to your first instinct when encountering any digital, avatar, or humanoid robot. That split second of discomfort before your conscious mind rationalizes it away. That ancient warning from millions of years of evolution. Once we lose the ability to feel that warning, we lose the ability to recognize what makes us human. In a world where artificial beings can perfectly mimic everything about us except consciousness itself, the uncanny valley might be the only thing keeping us from forgetting we're alive. I'm Percival Blackwood for the Rabbit Hole Chronicles, reminding you that sometimes the most important human trait isn't intelligence or creativity. Sometimes it's knowing what isn't human. And if you've made it this far, ask yourself, in an age of perfect voice synthesis and AI-generated content, how do you know this voice is human? You don't, you can't. We're already past the threshold.